presentation of the National Thoroughbred Racing Association and ESPN.
Over the decades, the legendary queens of the turf have journeyed to Delaware Park on their way to championship honors, including Susan's Girl, Relaxing, and Our Men's. All captured this quaint little track's premier event, the $750,000 Delaware Handicap. Today, the golden legacy of this race continues as 4 of the top ladies in racing come together here in the first state for the 66th edition of the Del Cap. 2002 winner, Summer Colony, Take Charge Lady, Mandy's Gold, and the newest threat from trainer Bobby Frankel, Chilean sensation Wild Spirit. Next on ESPN2, Racing Royalty hopes to move toward the season-ending crown in the Delaware Handicap.
To the World Thoroughbred Championships, powered by Dodge.
About 40 minutes south of Philadelphia and an hour north of Baltimore, a county fair setting that is Delaware Park. Opened for business June 26, 1937, and remains picnic perfect for a day at the races. It is a beautiful day here in the Delaware Valley. Temperatures in the upper 80s, sunny, and we have a fast track. So slide on in to a day of racing with us. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kenny Rice. Glad that you could be with us as we get ready for the biggest race day of the season here in the state of Delaware. This week's stop on the road to the World Thoroughbred Championships. Over the next hour, we'll take a look at live racing action coming up with fillies and mares in the Delaware Handicap. We'll look back on a pair of 3-year-olds on the grass. The Kent Breeders' Cup run here earlier today, and then live racing coming up at Arlington Park in Chicago in the $250,000 American Derby. And time to welcome in Randy Moss. Randy, last year here in the Delaware Handicap, 3 of the horses went on to run in the Breeders' Cup Distaff, showing what a deep and talented field we had last year. The same field this year is deep and talented, but that kind of sums up the entire division, headed up, of course, by Azeri.
Azeri, last year's Horse of the Year, still is once beaten and shows no signs of slowing down. Her winning streak is now up to 10 consecutive races, and in her last start, the Vanity Handicap, June 28 at Hollywood, she was awesome. She carried 127 pounds. She won that race for the 2nd straight year. She's expected to run again in about 3 weeks against the fillies at Del Mar. And as you might expect, she's firmly entrenched atop the World Thoroughbred Rankings Distaff division, but she has some competition. You see the 3 fillies running today in the Del Cap, but Bobby Frankel, the trainer who's becoming to thoroughbred racing what Serena Williams is to women's tennis, has 3 horses on this list. Sight Seek at number 2, Wild Spirit here in the Del Cap tied at 6th, and at the bottom Spoken Fur, who we saw yesterday.
Frankel serving up another ace with Spoken Fur, here winning the Coaching Club American Oaks at Belmont, and the Fur continues to fly in New York, Randy.
She opened up 8 in mid-stretch, coasted home to win by 3.5. Now she takes the Alabama Stakes on August the 16th, which we'll bring you here on ESPN. She will have swept the NYRA's Triple Tiara, and she'll collect a $2 million bonus.
Well, there's $750,000 on the line in our Delaware Handicap today. $450,000 of that going to the winner. That $450,000 almost triple what the whole purse used to be.
Yeah, this morning the local paper invoked the old slogan for this race: if you have a filly or mare, you belong in Delaware.
Nice little rhyme.
For a while that wasn't the case. The race was really in decline until the slot machines came to Delaware Park 7.5 years ago. Now listen to this. Since then, the purse for the Del Cap has gone from 150 to 300 to 350 to 500 to 600, and now this year, for the first time, $750,000, and the good horses are following.
Those 777s can add up for racetracks, as we've seen all across America. The Delaware Handicap coming up later live here on ESPN2. Fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. They're running 1.25 miles in this Grade 2 race. French Hideaway, Wild Spirit, and Take Charge Lady, the only 3 out of this field of 8 who have yet to run over this track.
Wild Spirit is 4-1 on the program line. I think she'll be the favorite. One start in this country for Frankel. She won the Chuvy impressively. Take Charge Lady, earner of $2 million, expected to set the pace. Mandy's Gold, Millionaire, Devin Rose, local, 4 wins in a row, and Summer Colony won this race last year. John Velasquez, though, replaces Gary Stevens as the jockey. Gary won on her last start. Gary is in the White House. Of course, he's in the movie Seabiscuit, and he's at the White House for a special screening today.
We'd like to take this time to say hi to President Bush and to Gary, just in case they've tuned in. Time now to say hi to Hank Goldberg, who I'm sure has been invited to the White House a few times in his outstanding career. Hank?
Previous administration, Kenny. We're talking about the distaff side of the business, and as Randy alluded to, there are 2 focal points right now. Azeri, her owner, Michael Paulson, would like to see her take on the boys and go to Saratoga in a couple of weeks for the Whitney, but Laura DeSaru, the trainer, has been pretty steadfast and wanted to keep that streak going and continue to race against the female side. Look, the smart money out in California is saying that she will probably turn up in the Clement Hirsch in a couple of weeks. That's a $300,000 grade 2 at a mile and 16th at Del Mar. The other focal point, of course, is Frankel. You saw Spoken Fur just a minute or so ago. Wild Spirit, the filly from Chile. When he first got her right before the Shoe V, he said this may be the best filly that he has in his barn, and he has Sightseek and You and Untold Others. Everybody looked at him, questioned him about it, and then recently she outworked Medalla d'Oro. Does that sound familiar? Remember Empire Maker in Florida? He was talking about Empire Maker, and he said he outworked Medalla d'Oro. It appears that Medalla d'Oro is the fodder for Frankel's 3-year-old stars of both sexes, guys.
He seems to get them ready, doesn't he, Hank? Thanks very much. Bobby Frankel trying to become the 15th Hall of Fame trainer to win the Delaware Handicap today. And Randy, looking at his season, it is close. Maybe it is unprecedented.
It's not a stretch to say that Frankel might have the most powerful racing stable in American history. The only points of reference, the old Calumet stable, and also Wayne Lucas's record season in 1987. But as you can see, Frankel running ahead of Lucas in both graded wins and grade 1 wins through yesterday.
Well, Frankel was not here for the Kent Breeders' Cup, our next race, but a Brooklyn-born trainer did all right in what turned out to be a record-setting performance. We'll show you the Kent Breeders' Cup when we come back.
Road to the World Thoroughbred Championships. Powered by Dodge. This ESPN2 presentation of the Delaware Handicap is brought to you by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. By Budweiser. The best things in life are the things that are true. Budweiser. By Citgo. We know you. By Long John Silver's new buckets of crunchy shrimp.
Looking at the beautiful tree-lined paddock here at Delaware Park. We're about 33 minutes away from the Delaware Handicap. Coming up now, we have 2 derbies on the turf that we're going to show you over the next few minutes. The first took place here just a few minutes ago as we take a look at the NetJet Mile division standings at the moment. This is part of the NetJet division, the Kent Breeders' Cup. 3-year-olds running a mile and an 1/8 on the turf in the grade 3 event happened earlier here today. Scratch Elusive Gentleman, so we had a field of 7.
King's Course, trained by Michael Dickinson, Fufa's Warrior, Ramon Dominguez, a shipper from Maryland. Remind, trying to become the 3rd winner for the team of trainer Bill Mott and Jerry Bailey of this race. And Liz Moore Knight on the outside, the winner of the Arlington Classic.
That's the field. Here's the way it looked as John Curran called it from Delaware.
And they're off in the Kent Breeders' Cup. It's a pretty good start for them all. Toward the outside, Gimme a Wink goes right for that lead, angles to the inside track, and as they come down the chute, Gimme a Wink will lead the field. Pike plays gold up on the outside. On the far outside, Remind is looking for a spot. Lismore Knight caught 4 wide as they come down the chute. Gimme a Wink leads it by about 1.5 lengths. Pike plays gold, settles nicely now in second, followed by Remind, who found a spot toward the inside. Lismore Knight is racing in 4th. Then comes Monkey Jr. next in line, followed by Fufa's Warrior, and the trailer is King's Course as they make their way into that first turn quarter in 24 seconds flat. And on the front end, Gimme a Wink leads it by 2 1/4 lengths. Long shot Pike Place Gold is racing second, followed by Remind in 3rd. Then a gap of 2 to Lismore Light in 4th as they're racing single file. Monkey Jr. is next in line, 2.5 to Fufa's Warrior, and the trailer is King's Course. They've got about 10 or 11 lengths top to bottom. Half goes in a solid 46 and 2. That was a fast quarter, and Gimme Wink still on the front end with just over a half mile to go. Now Jerry Bailey sets Remind up on the outside of Pike Place Gold, followed by Lismore Knight, who's going to follow Remind. Then a gap of 3 lengths to Fufa's Warrior. Monkey Jr. in the trailer still is King's Course as they race into the turn. It's still Gimme Wink with 3/8 to go on the front end. 6 winning 109.4. Gimme Wink is going as fast as he can, as far as he can, but Remind has set the challenge. Here comes Lismore Light ranging up in third. 2.5 the Fufa's Warrior trying to kick in as they head for home. It's Remind and Jerry Bailey taking over. Gimme Wink is gamely hanging in there. Lismore Light is trying to close. Fufa's Warrior on the far outside. Underneath the go, Remind is in front. Fufa's Warrior's bidding for the upset, coming on the outside. Here comes Fufa's Warrior and Ramon Dominguez to get it all. Remind getting second, followed by Lismore Knight third.
It is Fufa's Warrior in a record time, picking up his first win since New Year's Eve and his first turf victory.
Fast pace setting it up for Fufa's Warrior, ridden by Ramon Dominguez, who has won 2 stakes already today at Delaware. And Ramon will have the mount on Devin Rose coming up in the Del Cap.
Trained by Larry Murray, a 50-year-old Brooklyn native who's the 2002 Trainer of the Year by the Maryland Thoroughbreds Horsemen Association, with the win here in the Kent Breeders' Cup. Perhaps you've heard there's a movie coming out about a legendary horse named Seabiscuit. It is certainly one of the more anticipated sports movies of all time. Now, if this does not upset you, the fact that you probably already know that Lassie was played by more than one dog in her career, then I think you'll still be okay, and it won't spoil the ending for you to know that more than one horse plays Seabiscuit in the upcoming movie.
Yeah, how fast? Your horse just broke the track record at Tanforan.
There's a lot of huge challenges the minute you start to direct a movie like this. The real horse, Seabiscuit, comes along once in a century. He had a lot of different personality traits that we had to use a bunch of different Seabiscuits for.
They have different degrees of training and specific things that they do in this film.
The most challenging part of this movie is for the trainers to create a personality in Seabiscuit.
We ended up using many different horses that were all Seabiscuits, picking and choosing the piece of behavior that we would need to create the sense of this animal.
The care that Rusty has given these horses is just incredible.
Man, does he look good.
These horses have played an immeasurable role in our success. When I watch these racing scenes, I'm right back in the race again. That's what's making this film so great.
Randy, by the way, sorry to break that news to you about Lassie.
I didn't know. It's messed up the whole show now, as far as I'm concerned.
Timmy, don't go to the well. You're looking at Arlington Park when we come back. Live racing from Chicago. We're here at Delaware Park, about 25 minutes away from live racing in the Delaware Handicap. Right now, you're looking at Arlington Park, home of the 2002 Breeders' Cup, as we get ready for the American Derby, part of the John Deere Turf Division. An American Derby it is called, but the influence here is definitely European. They're running 1 mile and 3/16 on the grass in this Grade 2 event with a $250,000 purse for the 3-year-olds.
The American Derby is the second leg of what Arlington calls its Mid-America Triple, but alas, there will be no triple winner this year in Arlington because the winner of the first leg, Lismore Knight, we just saw finish third in the Kent here at Delaware Park. Here's a quick look at the field. Scratch the one. You've got Californian there at 3-1, who is one of the favorites in this race, ridden by Kent DeZormo. But the heavy favorite is, as Kenny mentioned, the European. Evolving Tactics, trained by Dermot Well, brought over from Ireland. Currently the odds-on favorite at 4-5, ridden by Irishman Pat Smollett.
Californian, let's take a look at him in action. He is bred in Great Britain. And here he is running in Kentucky at Keeneland back in April in the green and white. As you see him on the outside beginning to move, and what a move it's going to be, as you'll see.
It was on yielding turf. This was his first start in the U.S. Thoroughbred Corporation brought him over from England, where they had a very low opinion of him. In fact, he was 13-1 in this race. They brought him over to America primarily in hopes of selling him and getting rid of him. And lo and behold, he draws off and he wins the 4-runner by 3 1/4. They did manage to sell him after this race, probably for considerably more than they were planning on selling him for. He came back in his next start at Churchill and ran poorly, but since then he's gone back to California, and trainer Kristen Mulhall says he has bounced back, and she's expecting a big effort from him today.
As you say, 1 for 2 in the U.S. You see right now in 5 to 2 is the odds on Californian. With more now on the trainer of Californian, let's go to Hank Goldberg.
Well, Kristen Mulhall is 1 week short of her 21st birthday. She started training a year ago at Delaware. I was out there when it happened. She's the daughter of Richard Mulhall, who was the barn manager for the Thoroughbred Corporation in this country. But she's a very good trainer, and she's done very well in her first year with a couple of stakes wins, including the one that you just saw. Of course, I'm anxious to see what Evolving Tactics do, getting Lasix for the first time in his first race over here. And, of course, the only one in the field who's run 1 1/4 miles and got bumped in that lone effort, that was in Ireland, finishing 3rd. If you're looking for an outsider, Scottigo is the hometown choice, I think, or maybe not the choice, but the one I would look at, because that horse has had races over the track and might get some money for him. Okay?
All right, thanks, Hank. Scottigo is 3 of 6 this year, unraced last year as a 2-year-old. Now, we talked about the European influence, not just in the race today, but really since this race was moved to the grass in 1992, Randy.
Yeah, there have been starters every running except one since they moved this from the turf in 92, and the Europeans have done quite well. As a matter of fact, out of the 13 total starters, and when I say European horses, I mean horses coming straight over the pond that made their most recent start in Europe. 3 winners in 5 seconds, and in 2 of those years, the Europeans actually ran 1-2. Dermot Weld, in particular, the Irish trainer, all-time leading trainer in Ireland, has had a lot of success in the American Derby. He won it a few years ago, 2000, with a horse called Pine Dance, and then last year he was beaten with Jazz Beat by just 3/4 of a length, so plenty of experience for him.
How important is it to have, as Hank mentioned about Scottigo, who's had some experience over that turf at Arlington, a big sweeping turf that generally is favored by Europeans. They certainly liked it when they came over for the Breeders' Cup last year, a little more to their liking perhaps than most of the American turf courses.
Well, I'm of the theory that in general European turf horses are better than American turf horses. I think they're about 1 grade superior. I mean, I think a Group 3 winner in Europe can come over here and typically beat Group 2 or Grade 2 horses in this country. And we saw it just a few weeks ago with Dermot Weld. He had a horse in the American Oaks at Hollywood Park called Dimitrova, and she came over and just put a spanking on some of the best 3-year-old grass fillies in America. That's why this filly right now, Evolving Tactics, is an odds-on favorite in this race, even though she has never won a stakes race.
You see Scottigo there is number 3, 4th in the Arlington Classic. Number 4 should be some speed in this race. Gatto. They weren't stammering when they named it. He's by Sir Cat out of In Triplicate. And he's won his last pair at Lone Star, the Texas Invader, coming into this.
And there is Evolving Tactics, owned by Walter Hefner's Moigler Stud Farm.
Okay, we're ready. Let's go to John Dooley with the call of the American Derby from Arlington.
Away and running in the American Derby. Gatto breaks right on cue, right to the front by Chris Amy. Pat Smullen will follow with the Irish-bred Evolving Tactics, who's come out second and is slanting closer down inside to conserve this ground. Californian gallops along in 3rd through the early furlongs, and then Scottigo and Rapid Proof last to the 5 as they pass in front of us for the first time. 1 mile to run for Gatto, who runs the opening quarter on this good Arlington ground in 25 seconds flat. Field slow-paced as they make their way into the clubhouse turn. Gatto, given this free pass. Gatto out in front of Evolving Tactics by 2.5 lengths. Californian follows favored Evolving Tactics to the backstretch. And then farther back, late runners, Rapid Proof working ahead of Scottigo. They're both in reserve at the rear of the field. Half mile went in 51 seconds flat. Soft pace here for Gatto, who will look to lead throughout. Evolving Tactics continues to spy the single speed. Scottigo begins a middle move now, and here's Scottigo. Scottigo is tugged up into 3rd with under 4 furlongs to run. Californian and Kent DeSormo still magnetized toward this rail, and finally Calvin Burrell still rating Rapid Proof at the back of the field. 3/4, 117 flat. Around this sweeping far turn. Gatto. 2.5 furlongs from home. Now Pat Smullen giving Evolving Tactics his cue with 2 furlongs to go. Gotta go. Californian has been ground saving. And farther back is Rapid Proof with 7 lengths to come. Gatto. Tackled now by Evolving Tactics, the Irish bred. Californian now let loose in the final furlong. Scottigo is being hard ridden to challenge late. Evolving Tactics first run past the 16th pole. Californian is second. They're coming down to the line. Evolving Tactics, Californian. Here's a photo of the American Derby to the European. Evolving Tactics has landed the American Derby in a photo for Montclair Stud. Californian second, Scottigo third in 1:59 flat.
Welcome to the U.S. Evolving Tactics in his state's debut. He is the winner of the American Derby.
And the 4th foreign winner to win the American Derby, the 2nd for trainer Dermot Weld, and they ran that race just like they run races in Europe. Slow early with a furious finish, and Evolving Tactics got home just in front.
He saw those 2 furlongs and said, let's take off. It is Evolving Tactics defeating Californian. More on that race and more on the Del Cap when we come back. Welcome back to Delaware Park as you take a look at some of the ladies getting ready to run in the Delaware Handicap. We're about 14 minutes away from that. This reminder, join Randy Moss and Jeff Metters for the latest in horse racing on Long John Silver's Wire to Wire this Tuesday at 12:30 Eastern on ESPN2. Next weekend is opening weekend at Saratoga. So big that we have a big doubleheader for you on the road to the World Thoroughbred Championships at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific. The Test Stakes, where Kentucky Oaks and Acorn winner Birdtown renews her rivalry with Lady Tack. Also coverage of the Diana Handicap. That's next week. Next Saturday at 5 Eastern on ESPN. Now to take a look at the results from the American Derby, where Evolving Tactics became the 2nd Irish bred, joining 94 winner Overberry to win the American Derby with Californian and Scottigo. I think collectively we had the trifecta.
Owner Walter Hefner, trainer Dermot Weld, jockey Pat Smullen just missed in this race last year. They come back to get the money in today's American Derby. 92-year-old owner Walter Hefner is 132nd on Forbes magazine's list of the richest people in the world. This isn't going to move him up any on that list, but it's a nice trophy to have in your case.
It's a nice trophy, and Dermot Weld's doing pretty well. 2 visits, 2 victories here in the United States.
In good stakes races as well, right.
We get ready now for the biggest race at Delaware Park this year. It is the Delaware Handicap with a purse of $750,000 in the Distaff division. Fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, to run 1.25 miles, and number 1 is French Hideaway, 5th in her stakes debut.
And French Hideaway is a New York bred filly who has only run against New York breds. On paper, she looks 100-1 in this field, but the record payoff in this race, $163.
Here's the one they're all talking about and betting on now, Wild Spirit out of the Frankel barn.
She'll be ridden by Jerry Bailey on this day that you see there, the Chuvie win. She was ridden by Javier Castellano, but Bailey takes over the reins today. She's the favorite.
The richest lady in the field is Take Charge Lady, a winner of over $1.9 million.
This was Take Charge Lady's last start in the Ogden Phipps. That's another Frankel filly in front of her, Sightseek. She dueled with Sightseek all the way around, just faded the second. Jockey change today to Shane Sellers.
Number 4 is Jeremiah Rain, trained by Rusty Arnold, won the Newcastle here at Delaware.
Jeremiah Rain, owned by Watts Humphrey, will be ridden by Rodrigo Madrigal Jr. And this is Jeremiah Rain winning here at Delaware Park in her last start. She won a minor stakes race by herself by 9 lengths, but easier competition.
Mandy's Gold has won over $1 million in her career and certainly knows this track.
And Mandy's Gold actually defeated Summer Colony a couple of races back in the Pimlico Distaff. She is based here at Delaware Park, and her trainer Mike Gorham says that gives her an advantage because this is kind of a quirky racetrack.
Well, number 6, Shiny Sheet, isn't based here, but she has a win, 2 seconds, and a 3rd over the Delaware surface.
In her most recent start, Shiny Sheet was 2nd in the Obeah Handicap, beaten by 4.5 lengths. She'll be ridden today by Jeremy Rose, who picks up the mount. And the filly that defeated Shiny Sheet here at Delaware in her last start is this one.
Is Devin Rose. 3 wins here, never worse than 3rd in 6 races over this strip.
And how about this 4-race win streak? Length and a quarter margin, 5 lengths, 5.5, and 4.5 lengths. This is her winning the Obeah last time out under jockey Tony Black.
Number 8 is the defending champion, Summer Colony.
Summer Colony, the only filly to ever beat Azeri. That's one of her claims to fame. And, of course, she unleashed a tremendous stretch run to win last year's Del Cap after traffic trouble at the top of the lane.
So Summer Colony, the defending champ, coming in here, but no longer the favorite in this, as she was the morning line. It is number 2, Wild Spirit, at 1 8-2. Summer Colony is now at 9-2. Take Charge Lady at 5-1 as you take a look at the field for the Delaware Handicap. And standing by in the paddock now with the trainer of the defending champ, let's go to Hank Goldberg.
And I am with Mark Hennig, and 9-2, not a bad price if you like horses for courses. She's 1 for 1 here, 3 for 3 at the distance. So she seems to be well spotted, Mark.
She is. She really thrives in these mile and a quarter races. I think she won one at a mile and 3/8 that came off the grass early on in her career also. So she really excels at these longer distances.
What happened to her with the eye problem? And she laid off. You came back and ran second at Pimlico, beating the nose, and of course ran a strong race in the Molly Pitcher. But what was the reason for the layoff?
Well, we had intended on giving her a layoff after the Breeders' Cup last year. Mr. Evans kindly decided to race her again this year, and so we had a planned layoff, which turned into a little longer one. She had a little ulcer out of the Breeders' Cup in her left eye, and as it went on, she developed a fungal infection in that eye, and we proceeded to have to send her up to Gainesville, and they did a great job with her up there, did some surgery on it, actually sewed a graft onto her eye, and it took well, and she's been healthy and given us no indication that she doesn't see well out of that eye. So, but it was very fulfilling to get her back and get a win under her belt last time.
When people see Seabiscuit, they'll be comparing her with Red Pollard. But what about Frankel? You know, here he shows up again. He's got the favorite in this race. He's just so loaded as a trainer, and you look around and you see him come up in every major stakes with a very formidable competitor. What are your thoughts?
Well, it could be frustrating, but you know, it's so much more of a challenge just to get your horse here in one piece and have him as healthy as you can on that day. And that's really, you know, as a trainer, that's all you can focus on. You know, you have your spots picked out. Our intent was to run here, and the other mile and a quarter race that we ran in last year. And you know, the fact that he showed up makes it a little tougher, but there's more than him in here also.
One last thing about Summer Colony. There are some who were saying that perhaps she hasn't been posting the numbers this year that she did last year. I know you have big fish to fry down the road. Is she training well, and are you concerned about those numbers?
Not really. I mean, we brought her off of a long layoff, and she, you know, they're looking at numbers that she hit in the middle of a long streak of good races. I think we're trying to peak at a different time this year. Last year we peaked in this race, maybe in the race at Saratoga. And I think we're coming off the long layoff, and she's just kind of racing herself to prime fitness.
Mark, it's great to see you. Thanks for doing this. All the best to you.
All right. Thanks, Hank.
Okay. Kenny?
Thanks, Hank. Mark Hennig trying to become a back-to-back winner, as is Summer Colony. Only 4 horses have ever done it. The last, part of our Long John Silver's Silver Memory. And here she is, Nastique in 1988 over a sloppy track. Trained by Steve DeMauro, ridden to victory by Eddie Maple. Winning it impressively by 6.5 lengths in 88. She came back to repeat in 89 over a fast track.
An eighth of a mile to go. Victor Molina's getting in the Colonial waters. Nastique is trying to come back once again on the outside. Nastique is bidding for a second straight Delaware cap, and it's Nastique edging away. Nastique will win the Del Cap.
Can Summer Colony do it? Join Nastique as back-to-back winners of the Del Cap. That's part of our Silver Memory, maybe another memory. Welcome back to Delaware Park, where we're getting ready to see some of the current stars run in about 4 minutes in the Delaware Handicap. It's time now to look at possibly a future star of racing.
The 16th to go, and it's going to be Tap to Music and Pat Day to win the Del Cap.
Tap to Music won the Delaware Handicap 4 years ago. She earned over $1 million in her career for trainer Joe Orsino. Now she has a new career as a mommy. This is her very first foal, a 2-month-old colt by Belmont Stakes and Travers winner Lemon Drop Kid. Tap to Music won 6 graded stakes, including the Grade 1 Gazelle. So this little guy has Grade 1 winners on both sides of the family. Perhaps a future star of racing. The Foal Patrol is brought to you by Claiborne Farm. For more information on Claiborne, you can log on to claiborne.com. And there she is, Wild Spirit now, the 4-5 favorite here in the Delaware Handicap for trainer Bobby Frankel, Jerry Bailey aboard. What a terrific tandem they have been this season. Wild Spirit, a winner of 3 consecutive Group 1 races in Chile, including beating the boys during that string.
And when she came to the United States and they sent